Hi, it's Dr. Brosh. Today I want to share with you how I finally healed from 10 months of low back pain and left leg pain. And it wasn't through doing more things with my body. It wasn't through doing more physiotherapy sessions or strengthening my core or using a different chair or avoiding lifting. It was finally through addressing my emotions, making space to them. So I'll share with you the crisis, the point in which I felt I hit rock bottom, and then the insight that finally helped me release from the pain within a matter of few weeks. And I will also share with you the two layers of emotions that are important when you want to release pain and what you can do yourself in order to help yourself heal from the pain. The huge crisis that also led to the transformation happened in the summer of 2013. We lived in Germany and we went to a summer vacation with our family, with my family, and we went to this water park and my daughter went on this slide and I told myself, well, maybe I can do just one round. What could happen? And that eventually turned out to be a very bad decision because as I finished this simple one round, my legs were completely shaking. I was again suffering from extreme back pain and we still needed to go back home, 2.5 hours car ride, which turned to be 4 hours because we had a flat tire. So I was there at the side of the road, replacing the tire, excruciating back pain. I was suffering so much. And when we went back home, I went straight into bed. So you see, what led to this event was 10 very long months of struggling with pain, struggling with back pain. And I tried basically everything. I tried numerous, like dozens of physiotherapy sessions. I used a back corset. I used a TENS machine. I did osteopathy sessions, chiropractic. I tried to strengthen my core, swim, went to orthopedic doctors, got shots to my back, did an MRI, you name it. And I've built a sort of routine that was like walking on thin ice. Every small deviation from this very strict routine, like trying to manage the pain and live around the pain, would have caused me a huge relapse. And so this is what happened after this trip to the north of Germany. And I was lying in bed, I couldn't do anything else, and I had a lot of time to think. And as I was lying in bed, I was thinking to myself, well, if this is what happens, if again I'm back to the beginning point, after 10 months, it means that I'm not looking at this problem through the right lens. I'm looking at it in the wrong way. I'm trying the wrong treatments. Obviously, these treatments didn't release me from the pain. So I needed to rethink the condition. And at the same time, hitting rock bottom and experiencing this excruciating pain, lying in bed, not being able to do anything, I also felt a new resolution within me. I was saying to myself, I have to find a solution to this problem. I have to release myself from the pain. And then came the beginning of the solution. As I was lying in bed suffering from pain, my wife did an internet search and found a blog post written by a woman that suffered from symptoms similar to mine. And she said she read a book by an American doctor that released her from the symptoms. And honestly, there was nothing to lose. We ordered this book, Healing Back Pain, from Dr. John Sarno, and I was simply lying in bed, reading the book, and as I was reading, I was beginning to get better. What was happening is that it opened my eyes to something I completely missed. I understood that I was completely ignoring half of my being. I was completely ignoring my emotions. It means that whatever I was trying to do was probably not going in the right direction. And at the same time, I followed Dr. Sarno's explanations that said that pain that is caused by emotions, real physical pain, is actually caused by a reversible mechanism that could be undone, could be released. That was a huge relief for me to understand that my chronic condition could be reversed, could be changed. But the next question was, okay, so emotions can cause pain, but what kinds of emotions are most important? And that's a point that most people get wrong. Most people with back pain, most physiotherapists, most doctors, most psychologists, many people focus on past trauma. But what I've discovered is that the most important emotion is not past trauma, but rather the fear that comes with the pain. You see, when you have pain for such a long time, and pain is a very unpleasant experience, you begin fearing the pain itself. So the first thing I needed to release was the fear of the pain itself. And there was another very important emotional layer that came later on in the process, and we will touch on it later on. So what I needed to do, understanding is not enough. You have to act on it. And I started acting on it. I went out of bed and I was feeling the fear that came. I was feeling the body beginning to react by creating pain. But then I told myself, okay, it's your brain in action. It is creating now pain because you're afraid of the movement. And I was reciting to myself these sentences, saying over and over again, don't be afraid of it. It's reversible. It's harmless. And then I continued acting. I continued moving. And I'll be honest, because I was suffering from 10 long months of pain, it was always there, maybe more, maybe a bit less, but constant pain. It was already a learned response. So I needed to find a way somehow to unlearn these conditioned responses. So I practiced those sentences, saying those sentences again and again and again, hundreds, perhaps thousands of times each day. The result of this was that after 3 weeks, I was already able to jog around our house. Don't imagine to yourself a 5K run. It was simply a very, very light jog, and it was like maybe 5 minutes. And then 4 weeks later, 4 weeks after beginning to read this book and understanding the role of emotions in creating pain and also releasing pain, I was already able to lift a very heavy suitcase. And then I knew that I was over it. I was healed from the pain and I'm free from it. And then I was going on with my life, and 3 months later, I suddenly realized what was the first emotion that triggered this entire sequence of events. And again, I was pain-free when I realized what the first trigger for this whole saga was. So you can think of it like a fire. There's a match that starts a fire. The match is the trigger, is the original trigger. And then it starts a fire which is exacerbated and amplified by the fear. So when you want to extinguish a fire, you don't go about and look for the match, right? You simply extinguish the fire. It means that in order for us to heal pain, most of us will need to let go of fear, release the fear in order to heal most of it. Then, after the fire is put out, we can continue investigating and also finding the original trigger, the match that started this fire. And by the way, for me, it was simply a deeper layer of fear. We were after a relocation and we were considering another one. I was very afraid to do another relocation after only a year from the last one. I had financial fears and I was afraid of our stability as a family. And what I couldn't express was expressed through my body. My body simply said, stop. I had back pain. I couldn't do more things, let alone relocating. So that's the takeaway. If you want to release pain, first release the fears that are entangled, that are linked to this pain. And later on, when most of the pain is already healed, look for the match, look for the original trigger. So now I'm curious to hear about your personal story. What fears do you encounter around the pain and how do you overcome them? How do you release them? Let me know what you're doing and what your fears are in the comments below. I hope this has been helpful for you and I'll see you in the next one.